the deepest level of your mind opens up and you can remember everything. When I get to one, you'll be in the most significant past life influencing and affecting your life today. Notice the lessons you were to learn from that life. Allow that scene to close now in a moment. I'll bring you out of this hypnotic state. Welcome back. All right, so who wants to share first? Anybody want to share?
And it was hypnosis because when I saw the time, I just couldn't believe that much time had passed. In the first one, I was a dog. I went through like full emotions. Like I was aware of like where the dog lived and a host of other things. I was like, am I a dog on vacation? But I think I'm a dog who lives in South Beach. And I even knew the building that the dog lived in, which was very strange. But it was a sense of endless bliss is the best way I can describe it. Like I was a dog that was like living my best dog life. I believe that I had an owner. I want to say I was a companion to an owner of means because I know the building that the dog lives in. I was living a life where like people were petting me. Someone let me have a lick of an ice cream, and it was like a double decker ice cream. It was like weird details. People were petting me behind the ears. Like I could just hear like a lot of laughter, even when I was with my owner and I was in the back of the car. Like my owner's on a business meeting. Like I'm just kind of like content and chilling because like it was just like I was being received everywhere. Like people were giving me things, people were petting me. At one point, I can remember like going up in the elevator next to my owner, and my owner is a man that's maybe Caucasian or Italian, like dark complexion, very, very hairy, dark, hairy legs. He's wearing short white shorts. And at a point when you said like you're going to the end of life, I'm in the apartment and the owner is hysterical about my life coming to an end. And like I was feeling like the emotion of the human that's like holding me and very, very sad about losing me as a companion. And in the very last one, I don't want to say I was source, but I was in a different dimension and I could see like nebulas and other things. And there's no words and there's no communication. There's just frequencies. I don't know if I'm a higher self of some sort because it's almost like when there's a request of me, I hear a noise or a vibration and then I emit an energy.
I'm not sure what I was doing because I pretty much stayed in like this void. It was all blue and black, just kind of swirling around each other, like in space or something, with a little light poking through. At one point, I sat. It was a white family, I believe. It was a woman, a man, and a child sitting down at some type of table, and they were staring back at me, but they wouldn't say anything. And then I went right back into this blue and black open space with small bursts of light coming through to me. Then it came to that this other, he looked like he was white, but he might have been mixed. He had curly blonde colored hair and he kind of just looked at me and smiled. I went back into the blue and black void. Then I saw, it might have been a jungle forest, I'm not sure, because I saw a bunch of greenery and trees and a line of African women walking through this just singing. No one really communicated me. I couldn't figure out if I was one of these women or I was an observer. And then I went back into this blue and black open space with the little light, and I just felt calm and relaxed that I was at peace.
There was one scene for me where there were five young girls. They were like tweens, so somewhere between like 10 and 12 years old. I know they were all related. I wasn't sure how they were related to me, but I know that they like loved me. Like wherever I wanted to go, these five girls wanted to be. And then there was another scene where I would say I had powers in some form or another, and my powers were binded. And in this binding of my powers, like it felt like I was set on fire and they couldn't even hold me inside of this fire and rope kind of thing that they were doing. I wouldn't say if it was necessary, like a witch hunt or something, but I know definitely that they found out what I could do, and they wanted to try to dampen it.
I don't even know how to explain it. I know I was a man and I felt like I was a mermaid, but his skin was the skin that I was in was like a blackish type of green. I don't really know how to explain it, but he didn't look like a traditional mermaid like would look. And it had like I had like some things like this on the side of my face, but I would only come out of the water at night, like, and only when the moon was shining like really bright, I would come out of the water and then I would take people like inside of the actual water. Like I would take them down. Like that was just my job to just take people in and out of the water. And it showed me a part of what it kind of looked like. Like it was a whole like city kind of down there, but it was kind of like secretive. I don't really know how to explain it. I was just like, oh my God.
So the first one I remember it was glimpses of me running in the forest. My initial inclination was I thought I was a slave and I got caught and I got hung. So I remember me running first off and kind of like really in like an anxious state, like hauling my ass through the woods. And then the next glimpse that I got was kind of like my legs dangling when I was being hung. Then the next one, I remember I was a boy that was living on a farm, and I was really into space. I believe, like my parents, they call me like their little astronaut or something like that. And I thought this was me, but I also felt like it could be my mother. I couldn't really like make out a silhouette to the point where I could tell like whether or not it's a man or a woman, but it was somebody with a hat on, and they were using like a small garden tool to get up like some type of crop or herb or something like that. But I was able to see a lot of like the open sky. And then the last one, I just remember being on a chariot, and I think like Assyria or Mesopotamia, not sure what era it was, but I just remember like they have these curved blades that are called like scimitars, and I remember holding one up to the point where like the sky is very clear, it's the desert, so it's very bright, and I don't know, like I think the sun was near it when I was holding it up, but I just remember swinging it and chopping somebody's head off.
I was an enslaved woman, and I literally jumped into a moment in which the person who owned me was raping me. And I was very sad, very upset about that. And then I had two children that I was like forced to have. My role was basically to breed. And I had been sold from plantation to plantation because the word around town was that the kids that I had were exceptionally talented kids. And so I had begun a magic practice where I was aborting children and or doing infanticide. And so the threat that the master gave at this last time that I was raped was that I better not kill this one. And so I made a plan to run with my children, and I had a son and a daughter. I remember we were running in the woods. It was nighttime, and I had did a spell. I stopped us around a tree and I drew a circle on the ground, and I held my children close to me. And for whatever reason, the people who were pursuing us couldn't see us, couldn't smell us. And then we made it to a river, and I placed my children on my shoulders and walked through the river onto the other side. And on the other side, we ran and we were free. In the second life, I was a man. I was a tall, kind of dark-skinned man. And I assume it was in Africa. The background was a kind of a red desert. There were mountains. And I jumped into the middle of a battle. I was holding like a spear and I was fighting. And in this life, I used lightning. I could control the weather. It's very interesting. Could control the weather. And so I died in that battle. But as I was dying, I used like lightning and the weather to help my village win the war. In the other clips of that life or the other scenes of that life, I saw myself as a young boy learning how to use magic. I saw myself learning how to control the weather. The person that I was connected to was some kind of teacher, and he was like an older shaman in the village. He told me what I had to do to use the magic that I had. And then the other scene, I was arguing with my wife, and she complained that I was working too hard and that I was very mean to her, but I didn't hit her. And then that was the argument that preceded the battle. So that's the last time that I spoke to my wife. I felt regret as I died because I did not treat her well before.
I remember either seeing or feeling like some type of a dragon. Like I vividly kind of remembered something like that.
I had like a gold staff, had like a lion head on it.
Mhm.
I just saw it, and I saw a shield with like a lion medallion. Then I was a little boy riding an elephant in Saudi Arabia. I just kept seeing a lot of scenes of me being really happy. I was a man, happy, in love, a little girl. And then finally, I was just all of a sudden struggling to breathe, like I was drowning. And that happened to me like 2 different times. Oh, I was an alien too.
It's like I was lost in the woods and it went dark and I was scared. And I just felt like a lot of fear and like, why am I here? What am I doing here? I'm not supposed to be here. With the trees and the bushes, I felt that it was Africa and I was betrayed. I was set up. I was a woman and I was with hunter gatherers. I don't know if they were transporting me somewhere or taking me somewhere because they were like servants of some sort. And I was left in the middle of the woods. It was dark. You asked what were we wearing? And I felt something that felt like suede and I was adorned. I had on like a spherical necklace with like multiple levels of spheres around my neck. And it was like black, white, and blue and red. And then there were like little white spiky things on it. And I had a black bracelet and it had the white spikes on it as well. When you told us to go to the next one, I went and I was a 5-year-old girl. And I was laying on a bed in my grandma's house. She lived in an apartment. It was like a townhome. And I was just crying. And I could hear my parents downstairs like arguing. And then you were like, how we were coming to like, how would that life end? I got suicide at 19. I felt overdose. I didn't feel like it was anything a violent way. Then I went to like seeing myself being like, had to be 1940s because of the red dress. There was this red dress. It was like a satiny red dress. And I just remember putting on red lipstick and I had on like the black gloves with the pearls and I wore my jewelry on top of my gloves. So I was really well off. But again, I was alone. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. I was in my 20s, but I was actually going out on a date. And this man I ended up going off with, we didn't marry, but he took me away and I had a baby. I don't know where he was, but it was me and my baby Joe. And I did live till I was 87, kidney failure. You was like, what was the cause? I felt like it was kidney failure, old age, and a combination of that.